I think of music as having, I call it the musical trifecta. There is the mentality, emotionality, and like physicality. And for me, the best music strikes a balance between all three of those.
But anyway, yeah, that was fun hanging out with you and Tim. And then I saw your show at the church.
Mm-hmm.
Was that last weekend?
That was last Thursday.
That was so sick, by the way.
Thank you, man.
That was like my first proper church show. Because I've been to the basement.
Mm-hmm.
They have like a separate part of the venue. And I've been there, but I haven't been to like the main room. And your mix, and I'm sure part of it was just because like you're a sound design wizard, but like it sounded really tight. And what else? Yeah, the new EP, the Emberwake EP slaps. And maybe I just need to listen to more of your old stuff, but you're singing a lot more on your tracks now than you always have.
Definitely. Yeah. Singing has been I've had a weird relationship with my own voice for the vast majority of my life. I've always wanted to be comfortable singing. I've always wanted to, put my voice in my music. I think the first time I actually sang was the first time I moved here in Colorado, which was 2016 on a song called Divine. And it's vocally very amateurish, but I don't know. I feel like there are times where no one else can really send the message that I want to convey better than me. There's just a calling for it. And it's kind of a challenge to face that discomfort for the sake of speaking something that's true and purposeful for me. And for Emberwake, which today, this Friday, marks 1 week of it being released.
Oh, dude.
Congrats. Which is strange because it already feels like it's been out for a long time. Yeah, all of these songs are vocal-centric, like very heavy vocal-centric. I feel like I've really, for this one, unlocked my voice, really went forth and kind of faced the vulnerability and the fear to try to like really just be myself as opposed to try to be like perfect or like, I've never had a vocal lesson before. I have no professional training.
You have a great voice. Like you really do.
These songs are really personal to me. The messages in them are about some pretty heavy life changes that happened to me over the past year. And I found that like kind of just going with the flow and trusting what is underneath all of that. What is it that I'm typically avoiding in life? What is it that I'm like, how am I trying to manipulate the present to create a future that is, I think, favorable to me, and kind of just like letting all of that go and just being honest with like what is coming up right now. The lyrics to all those songs, pretty much all of them, I didn't write them down first. They either came to me in a dream or they were things that I just explored, like ad-libbing over top of the instrumental. And then, slowly words start to crystallize. And then I realized, whoa, there's meaning implicitly in these words that are just seemingly naturally forming. And I feel like it was a way for me to tap into my subconscious and hear what's actually going on underneath the surface. And also just singing it feels very cathartic too. Like once you warm up and get into the flow of that, it starts to get like, it goes from like anxious and like tense and kind of embarrassing. It's like, cool, I'm alone in my room. No one can hear me.
Yeah.
I'm just criticizing myself.
Yeah.
But that is uncharted territory for me that I really just wanted to lean into and see what was on the other side of that. And so Emberwake was kind of the result of that exploration for me.
Well, I'd say it definitely worked out because I think it slaps. And I think the voice is by far the most vulnerable instrument because it's directly your sound coming out of your mouth of who you are, and it's like,
yeah,
it can be kind of weird. I mean, I grew up singing my whole life and my mom's like a professional vocal coach, or she was. So like I grew up around singers and it's in my family, and there's something about just singing outside of a recording because then it's like I think mentally you're like, oh, this is going to be captured to be listenable over and over and over and over forever. So it's like almost kind of this mind game. And when I've recorded with other vocalists, it's like you really kind of have to, in my experience, put yourself into the exact feeling you want other people to feel with whatever's coming out of your mouth, you know, and it's like there's that personal expression side to it, which like, and just the voice is a very complex instrument, just even to mix in general. Like there's so many, like you might have to de-ess it because you have like an S sound that comes out weird, or like, you know, there's like so many different little artifacts and things.
So many variables.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even just like the mood that you're in is going to change the tone of your voice.
Yeah.
And, you know, that cascades into the mixing and production process too. Like, okay, are you going to need to EQ this different? Like if you're doing 2 different takes at different days, you might sound completely different. It might not work.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, we're definitely going to dive into your project too. And I don't know if you have a vocal chain in this project that you brought, because I would love to see just even how you process your vocals, if you have it. If not, that's fine. Love the vocals, love the vibe of the new EP. It's like, I think equally like gives you the feels and also a bass face at the same time, which is like my favorite thing. It's like
same.
My favorite music is like really pretty, just makes you feel heartfelt, and then just like murders you on the drop, you know?
Right.
That's my happy place.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I think of music as having, I call it the musical trifecta. There is the mentality, emotionality, and like physicality. And for me, the best music strikes a balance between all 3 of those. So for instance, like the physical, it's like, you know, the beat and the bass, the thing that instills groove, makes you move, something that makes you feel viscerally. And that could also be in sound design as well.
Right.
Emotionality are things like melodies, chord changes, progressions. I think a lot of times lyrics too. They evoke something that is more in like in the heart space. And then mentality is, I think, especially in electronic music, all of the things like ear candy and like, or perhaps like syncopation, or things that are novel and induce like mental stimulation. And so, yeah, I always find like I don't really think about it in that theoretical term, but I find that the music that I gravitate towards and the music that I create, that I tend to create, I want to hear a balance of all of those, you know?
Yeah.
The full gamut of what music can bring.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the best music a lot of times has that contrast, not just sonically, but like emotionally too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, love your music. You're also pretty well known for teaching. I've loved your tutorials. I've watched, you have like a Serum masterclass. And I think I watched some of it because my friend bought it with him at his place. And yeah, definitely learned some Serum hacks from you over the years. Do you have a Serum 2 masterclass, or just the one?
Just one. The Serum 2 is masterclass is a thing that is in the works that we plan to do.
Sick.
There's still a lot of exploration that I want to do first before I really feel like here's enough substance to, you know, launch a whole new course.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't want to get too much into detail of our plans for it and what's going to be in it. But yeah, that's on the way.
When it comes to like teaching, I mean, when did you start using Ableton? Like when was the first time you jumped into it?
So it was pretty much 10 years ago. Summer 2015 is when I started using Ableton. Before that, I was using Logic for 9 years. I guess I started production, I don't want to say pretty early, but relative to a lot of the kids these days, like starting really, really early.
Yeah, for real.
I got Logic back in 2006. I was just kind of sick of the limitations in the workflow. For instance, like you can't browser search plugins. And so many times I'd be like, okay, I need this plugin, and then be trying to find it through the drop-down lists and then forget what I'm even looking for. And then also automations, using Logic 9 back in the day. Automations used to be steppy, and also the same deal. Like I don't want to have to search through lists. I just want to click the parameter. Cool, here's a lane, and draw.
Yeah.
And so I gave myself 1 week to switch to, I gave myself 1 week to use Ableton exclusively. And this was during a time where I switched a studio space. I was like, I'm not going to touch Logic. I'm just going to give myself 1 week and see how far this goes. If I don't like it, I could switch back. And within the first day, I was like, I am getting creative ideas that I haven't had before. Nice. And by the end of that week, I finished a song from start to finish. And it's my song, Atlantis, from... I think I released it back in 2015 as well.
That's pretty fast. That's a fast switch.
I don't know. I feel like it was made for me. Like I just caught onto it so fast. I love just the interface, how it's, I've been using it for 10 years at this point. And teaching kind of became a thing. Like, it wasn't something that I really intended to start doing. Like, I never thought of myself as a teacher, but I really like nerding out with other people that are also interested in what I have to show, to share. I really did not expect to have, such a thriving and also interested audience when I first started putting out tutorials. I just wanted to show some cool techniques that I discovered, and it just built momentum. And probably I don't even know, but I feel like half my fan base are producers or people interested in my tutorial content.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I go to shows now, yes, there's the people who are fans of my music, and like that kind of praise and validation is lovely. But then there are people who come up to me and thank me and talk to me about how lessons, my tutorials have helped them like springboard their career, and I've helped them get like, label releases and all these things. And that hits differently, because that to me is like, okay, it's not just my music that touches you and moves you, but I've given someone else the ability to explore and express that for themselves.
Yeah.
And for me, I know that the process of creating music and also just nerding out and exploring technology is so fulfilling that it's really heartwarming to hear people who are not just fans of my music, but also benefit from what I teach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could probably relate to this too, is like, I feel like I've learned the most by teaching, is just because like people ask you questions, they'll bring you a project and be like, why isn't this working? And then you have to know, you have to figure it out, at some point.
Absolutely a collaborative endeavor.
Yeah. Like, and then when you have like one of your little birds who like make a banger, you're just like so proud. You're like, that's amazing. Like, you're really excited for them. And you get to see them like have that creative outlet for themselves, and brings them joy. And it's also fulfilling because you're like, oh, I'm doing something for somebody else, and it feels good doing that,
There's a lot of mutual inspiration too. Like, I don't like to think of myself I don't like to pedestal myself, regardless of whether or not other people do.
Yeah, we all sit and poop the same way, so.
Exactly, we're all people.
Makes sense.
And so for me, I always found that the more I'm separate from someone else, the more I'm like, okay, I know more than you, or, being in that headspace, the more detached that I am, and the less that I'm able to be a student myself.
Yeah.
And for me, I love learning to kind of an obsessive degree. Sometimes, I also do all of my own visual art and animations and stuff like that. And I really have a hard time just focusing on one specific, I guess, avenue or outlet for art. And when I teach, other people will also they'll ask me, have you heard of this plugin? Or like they'll present like, how do I make this sound that this artist did? Something that I never would have considered before. And
for sure,
I feel like a wide-eyed kid a lot of the time when I'm in that zone.
Me too.
I just love it. I can't get enough of it.
That's why I do this podcast, honestly, because it's just fun to learn from people like you who are smarter than me in a lot of realms. So that's the best, honestly. And I think that's led to your success probably, is just because you have that passion for learning, right? Mm-hmm. Become a fountain of knowledge.
Yeah, it's an intrinsic motivation.
100%, dude. Well, speaking of production stuff, I know there's a lot of nerds listening to this podcast, your followers, and people also follow the podcast. I want to pick your brain on like a couple different things I have here. One of them is, with teaching, what are some like common mistakes you see pretty often from producers? Maybe all experience levels too.
I actually wrote down some things for reference.
Pull them up.
So I used to do one-on-one lessons, but also I have a Discord, and there's a feedback channel. Yeah. I guess we could link the Discord too.
Yeah. I'll put all the links in the show notes for anybody listening.
Cool. And so I get to hear a broad variety of people's music at different stages, and common things that I find. I feel like this is quite universal. Not knowing how to finish a song or break out of a loop, just getting stuck in an 8-bar loop, is kind of a curse. And I experience that too. And I will constrain myself to a loop a lot of the times, like 8 bars, and I'll add more and more to it until it's like, okay, things are starting to crowd. I'll duplicate out everything and then get subtractive with it. And then, so for instance, I'll duplicate out the loop. And if I have like 2 melody lines that are conflicting, I'll have one for the first part of the loop and then another for the second part of the loop. And then that'll kind of like inspire me to, okay, maybe if I switch this bass line to a different synth or, make it go from rhythmic to legato, really just start kind of picking things apart granularly until they become very separate things. And then I'll do the same thing with that. I'll copy those 2 separate loops over again. I feel like a lot of times it's important to just like rest your ears, take breaks from it. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll just put a pitch shifter on the master and just change the key just so it like freshens up my ears.
Oh,
so
really?
I can just hear it in a different way. I've always done that.
Really?
Ever since the Logic days.
Just to like recalibrate like how you're listening to the song, basically?
Yeah, I find like...
And then you turn it off probably later.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even just like 1 semitone plus or minus, to me, is equivalent to like a hue shift in a piece of art or a photo. It's like, cool, all the reds are now pink, or like all the blues are now green. And it makes me see it or hear it in a totally different light. The best thing to do to not get stuck in a loop is to just prevent it from happening in the first place. The more you listen to one thing, the more it's going to solidify and crystallize in your mind. I think keeping things malleable. If something feels good, I would say trust that. And then once you are looping it enough to where you're starting to question if that still vibes well, just stop. Just move on to the next part.
Yeah.
You do not want to keep ingraining that in your head and losing the flavor of it, essentially.
Yeah, there's definitely a real thing about loop hell where you just get stuck in that forever and it's hard to break out. Once your ears get accustomed to hearing the same thing over and over, you basically go insane.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I talked to Enzo a little bit about this on the podcast and Bluka, and they had a similar process for like try to get the most out of the creative inspo you get. Like, so if you have like a moment of inspiration and you sit down to write, just get as much out as fast as you can. And then go back through and do like the reductive production side of things where you're just cutting stuff out that doesn't fit and you're just kind of filling the holes of the core of what you had and then just copying and pasting. Yeah, like I find one mistake I made, I feel like when I was first starting to produce, and I see it a lot, is like people who just keep adding new sounds. Where it's just like you keep adding new and new and new and new stuff, and then there's not a cohesiveness to the entire track, whether it's like 3 or 5 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
but take what you have and try to sculpt it. You know what I mean? But maybe it's like just destroying the sound itself and turning into something new. I think your subconscious still knows that's the sound somehow. Like,
and we don't think it's enough because it's like, oh, we're just using the same thing. And I feel like our internal monologues can say things like, we're being lazy, or we have to keep doing more to prove that there's value or that the song is substantial. But I mean, that's why I think it's so important to like you said, and I can also hear it in their music. I'm a huge fan of their work, especially their latest album.
They're crushing it.
The process of getting as much out as fast as possible, like build the skeleton before you flesh it. Essentially.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot easier to when you're in that right-brained compositional headspace, it's very elusive and it's easy to get sucked into the analytical technical headspace of mixing and stuff. It's like, okay, maybe this snare isn't good, and then you just end up EQing for the next 10 minutes and you haven't actually progressed the song.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to get back into that right brain flow when you're already like in a critical mindset.
Yeah, for sure. What about the mixing side of things? If we were talking about some common mistakes or tips you would have for the mixing side of things for people.
Yeah, I think I hear a lot of people trying to make things really loud and full spectrum from the start.
You mix usually pretty loud in the beginning, like with a limiter, or do you like just build it up later in the production side of things?
Yeah, I don't put anything on my master as I'm building the song. Occasionally I'll put a multi-band limiter, but just gently. But I'll be pretty active with A being it. But yeah, I really don't like to have anything on the master. I think it's important to. I'm kind of torn about this because on one end, I think it can be beneficial, especially for more advanced producers, but also for less experienced producers. I've heard time and time again people like putting an ozone preset on their master and then mixing into that. And the problem with that is you're not actually doing a service to understanding what you're truly hearing as you're creating it. If you're doing sound design or if you're mixing drums with bass, and if you have a limiter on there, your drums could be peaking like plus 20 dB, like just the transients, and you can't really hear accurately how that might be affecting the other instruments or how it might be, ducking on a very small scale. I like to mix to each channel to 0 dB. It's kind of my reference. I get the drums down. I use a hard clipper for them. I get them as loud as they need to be before they start sounding distorted. And then I kind of use that, because they're clipping at Unity, I use that as my overall loudness reference. And then pretty much all of my other tracks and basses and stuff, I'll either clip it or limit it if necessary to 0 as well. And then, yeah, that's just how I've always kind of mixed. I do hear a lot of producers will like just overly clip something, use too much noise. And I hate to say that this is a wrong way to do things.
Right.
Because
yeah.
there's so much innovation
Subjective.
that has come from that. I mean, like I listen to Subtronics. His sounds are incredibly loud and incredibly bright.
Yeah.
Very clipped. And that's part of his sound. And he has created a way to, like, he knows how to sculpt that in a way to where it translates and it works.
Yeah.
But I think if you want any kind of like, subtlety in your music, or you want things to actually punch, it's really tempting, especially when you're using reference tracks where everything is really bright and clipped and full spectrum, to want to match that.
Yeah.
But, if you can find the essential ranges in different instruments, where, you don't, in a bass sound, oftentimes you don't need anything above like 12 kilohertz. That's just kind of this like air that is atonal, which I find, if you roll that off, you're going to have a lot more room for the microdynamics in like a hi-hat for the song to groove and breathe better.
Yeah. I heard you talk on the Mr. Bill podcast about some mixing things. That was one thing you brought up that I thought was really good too. Is like, if you need your stuff to get like stupid loud, then like making those sacrifices above that like 8 to 12 kilohertz.
That's right.
Like filling that space with like more transient stuff like hi-hats or whatever.
Exactly.
And like maybe cutting off some of the synths or the top end of some of that stuff that might just be overpowering all that extra stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the stuff up there, we're not perceiving those harmonics as tonal. So we may as well leave those to, atonal sounds and sounds that are percussive, because we can very much feel and hear the articulation of, transient sounds in that range. So,
yeah.
And that was something that I really only kind of woke up to over the past couple years, and realized something that I've been doing. I actually recorded a tutorial on this last night because I was just so compelled. Remastering old music that's like poorly or like too squashed or too clipped or just fatiguing is reintroducing microdynamics by using envelope EQ automation or EQ enveloping, where you're kind of softening, rolling off the whole master, all that top end, and then reintroducing it deliberately with envelopes, like envelope triggers.
Okay, interesting.
And it can breathe new life into a song and can also make it sound. You can crank it louder too, because that top end can be clipped really hard, and it will still cut through.
So when you're talking about envelope triggers, are you saying, for example, like maybe you have like a really hefty hi-hat and it's fighting a synth up top, and you would just maybe use an envelope that's ducking an EQ band on the synth when the hi-hat hits? Is that kind of what you're talking about? Or
Kind of the opposite. So I would roll off or high shelf down by a few dB the entire master if we're just working with the stereo.
okay.
For instance, just EQ down just the top end, and then use either a high shelf or like a bell, and have it be like, I'll use an Ableton envelope MIDI as a trigger, and then line up the song to the grid, and then basically draw MIDI where the hi-hats are, and then map that envelope MIDI modulator to the gain of that bell. And you can really like bring out percussion that's there, that's kind of just flattened with everything else in a way that sounds really natural and dynamic. It's like reintroducing those microdynamics as
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, there's so many good new tools that are like helping with some of that too now. Like, have you seen Ozone 12?
I have
Just came out. It's insane. They have something called an unlimiter, which kind of does that. So it's basically reintroducing dynamics that are being destroyed.
I am very intrigued.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Ozone 10 had a thing that actually got me like mindful of exactly what we're talking about in this technique, which was impact. I think it's called impact.
Oh yeah.
It's a multi-band it like re-envelopes things. It enhances transients.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's so cool. You can kind of breathes new life into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I found that it was inconsistent, especially if your mix was really squashed. So I was like, why don't I just do this manually? And
yeah, it makes sense.
Works well.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I don't really I was really heavy into using Ozone for a while, and I kind of fell out of it and just kind of doing my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, now that 12 came out, I need to spend some more time jumping in there. It has like a stem EQ now, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
So basically you can just EQ, you select like drums, vocals, other, or bass, and then you can just draw in the EQ, and it just goes in the stereo master and the module, and it'll like intelligently, it uses, I don't know, some kind of AI or machine learning something on the back end to like properly bring that up or down basically for you.
Really cool.
It's like an EQ, but you just click which module specifically you want for the drum space or vocals or something.
I would love to experiment with that, because that's like master rebalance but evolved.
Yeah, exactly. There's a bunch of new ones. There's like, and they have an IRC5 now, which apparently I've heard sounds insane. I watched like some of their tutorials and stuff online. I haven't personally played with it yet, but the before and after was pretty convincing.
Ooh.
Just going from IRC4 to 5. I remember like Ozone 5 coming out. That's when I first used it in 5, and I was like,
Me too.
IRC3 is amazing.
Yeah.
And now it's just like it's like trash compared to...
It's like preserves transients and kind of doesn't distort or pump other things, but
it's wild.
Nowadays, I feel like I've been kind of spoiled with Pro L.
Yeah, I love Pro L too.
Their algorithms are so
solid. It is. It's really, really good. And the oversampling sounds really great on that.
Yeah,
I find the oversampling on that is probably the best, one of the best I've heard. Mm-hmm. That and standard clip. Do you have a favorite clipper that you typically use?
It was Newfangled Saturate, because it has a little bit of detail preservation.
I'm not familiar with that.
It's a cool one. Their algorithm is like they don't really explicitly say how it works, but I think I figured out how they do it. Basically, when you have a sound that is like has too much bass in it, and you're clipping it really hard, what will happen is you'll have a lot of any higher frequencies, any top end frequencies getting basically eliminated during the max. Yeah, you can see it right there with detail preservation. So like on the top, you'll see like the waveform will get clipped. All of that high end detail just gets flatlined.
Right.
Detail preservation, even when the waveform is being clipped, there is still that top end information that is
chopped.
encoded in the waveform. You could see.
Yeah. I mean, it still's got those little dips and spikes.
Yeah,
So
even though
distortion.
it is flattening out the waveform, like it's wave shaping.
Yeah.
There is still top end detail in there.
So it kind of just preserves that information in like a really intelligent way.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think
check this out.
I think they use a. I have no idea. I don't know if I'm blowing their cover or whatever, but
Nice.
I think they use a form of spectral clipping with a low FFT size. Because I've been using ASAP Spectral Clipper or ASAP Spectral Clipping, which is a really nice free spectral clipper, FFT based, and I've been using that on my master to essentially do the same thing, like just to get things really loud, but limit the low end in a way where there is no time component. So, it's.
You have that in your project? Do you want to share it?
I could. So this project is really just the stereo bounce and then the bass sound as a separate rack that I wanted to show. I can demonstrate what this does. ASAP Spectral Clipping.
Anybody listening, you can watch the video and see the screen right now.
So I think this one right here has some. Yeah, this is a little rack that I made with a high and low.
Oh dang, that's a wild
tilt trim
curve. Yeah.
Anyway, this plugin, ASAP Spectral Clipping, really cool. You can set your window size, but okay. I'm just gonna play a bit of this song. I'll play the beginning of the drop without any processing first.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Cool. Now with this clipping plugin on, you have the high energy and a low energy. The low is like a spectral gate. The high is a spectral clip. And let me just reset the spectral tilt. And once I start reducing the energy high, you're going to hear how it starts to flatten everything out in a way that is not like just a single band clipper, and not quite like a multi-band compressor either. It's kind of like a hybrid between the two. So check this out. You can hear the lows get cut first.
Right.
And then the highs get cut. And if you flatten it all the way, it kind of just turns into white noise.
Oh, wow.
But that's why I use this spectral tilt macro here. It's basically an input slope. And so I can boost the highs going in and then reduce them going out so that the top end gets clipped first. And it sounds like this. And this is kind of like, you can kind of use this as like soothe, but without any like attack or release times.
Okay.
Check this out.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
You can also increase the energy low and get spectral gating.
That sounds crazy.
It's an incredible
That's wild.
sound design and also mixing plugin too.
Yeah, that thing's insane.
And it's free too. So
My favorite price. Yeah, I definitely need to play with that. Spectral clipping.
yeah, it's fun to experiment with what the different window sizes sound like too. You can increase your time resolution at the expense of frequency resolution and vice versa. And it's just really cool for sound design.
Yeah.
Actually.
That's super fun.
Yeah.
Love that. As far as like favorite plugins and devices, do you have other favorite plugins for like sound shaping, like sound design type of things? That thing's fun. I'm going to play with that. Also, a shout out to Magic Mind. I'm going to chug this thing.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing this with us. We love you.
Thanks, Magic Mind.
Thanks for making our minds magical. Big fan. Frequent says it tastes like digital or organic shampoo, and I can't untaste.
Oh, you should have told me that when I was done, dude.
I can never unthink that now. It's like, damn you, Nolan. Ruined it for me.
Well, it's feeling good. So
Yeah, well, honestly, yeah. It's delicious.
it's shampooing my brain.
Exactly. It's a brain shampoo. Yeah,
I do have a handful of other devices. I wasn't sure if we should go over those now.
sure. Yeah, if you want to, you can talk about whatever you want.
Cool. I kind of want to go backtrack a bit
Sure.
about the common mistakes. It's kind of just like nagging in
Yeah,
the back
yeah, yeah.
of my
No,
head.
let's talk about it.
Yeah, so a couple of the other common mistakes that I find a lot of like beginners do. This is more philosophical. Thinking too much about the end result, like the purpose, how it's going to be perceived by an audience. I feel like is actually a little bit of that can be a good motivator. It's like, ooh, I'm gonna play a show in a month. I want this song to I want this to be something that that slaps for my set. A little bit of that I think can be a good boost, but I kind of think of it as something like, you're eating candy trying to get nutrition, when really it's going to make you crash. It might excite you initially, but a lot of that motivation should be coming from the present moment and within you. Like being excited about the process as it's happening, I find is always a much more reliable process than trying to plan like, ooh, I want this song to be on this label and heard by this artist and appeal to this demographic.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like, why are you really making why are you making the art in the first place?
Yeah.
I feel like you're removing so much of your own personal story by trying to pursue that, and it inhibits the creative flow. At least for me, a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Having a specific intention, it stifles it, and then it doesn't become fun. It's like now I'm doing work, and at the end of the day, I think our best work actually comes from play. So.
Yeah.
I'd say just don't get too much in your own head about like what you like. This is an amazing, miraculous phenomenon that occurs when we explore. Children are inherently creative. They're not judging themselves or thinking about how what they're about to do or how they're going to play is going to affect their life or career or like their parents' approval. I mean, yeah, that is a very real thing, and I think for so many of us, eventually it does get to that point where we become self-aware enough to where we realize the consequences of our actions, for the better or for the worse, and we kind of get shamed out of really being pure and having that fun, explorative process. Kids are just naturally inherently creative, and I feel like that part of us still exists inside. It's just kind of plastered over or like numbed to societal pressures and expectations and conditioning.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the beauty of making art and music is through that exploration process, getting back in touch with yourself can also heal that too, if you let it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the best music, in my opinion, is like the music that's made with authenticity. At least my own music's that way. Like my favorite music is music that I didn't overthink. It just kind of came out, and usually it takes me the least amount of time to produce.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
And I think it's that playful mentality. I talked to Missing Reflections on the podcast, and we talked about that as just like my happy place. The reason I'm making music is because it makes me happy, and if it's making me happy, chances are somebody else is going to vibe with it too.
I think so.
And I'm a firm believer in that. Is like if you get that, like Quincy Jones calls that the goosebumps test. If you get the goosebumps listening to something that you made, then there's a really good chance other people are going to feel that too.
100%. I think. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you for sure. Yeah.
The more that we can connect with ourselves deeper in the process, the more what we create from the process is going to induce that same connection in a very different way. Because we're all unique with our own unique life experiences, and tastes. But I feel like the more we connect with ourselves in the process, the more that art is going to help others connect with themselves in that same kind of way.
Yeah.
And that isn't something that we can really strong arm into existence. You know, we can't be like, I'm going to make a song that is going to make people feel this very particular way. We could try to based off of data and trends and our own observations. But at the end of the day, at least for me, I think it doesn't make any sense to actually think of art from that perspective.
Yeah.
Like, I know what I'm feeling right now. I'm going to honor that. It's kind of like, here is my space, my haven to explore whatever comes up in this process and see it through, feel it out as much as I can until I feel like I've arrived where I need to be. And then the rest is not for me to determine. It's not for me to say, this is how people should feel about it.
Sure.
It's for them to determine.
Interpretive, right? Like that's music.
Once it's released, it's not mine anymore. I mean, it's when I listen to it, yeah, it's mine. But when it's released to the world, it's for other people to have their own light be filtered through it and reflected back at them.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I mean, all opinions are just filters, right, of your own experiences in some way. So it's like, if you listen to a song, it might resonate with you because you're going through something at that moment in time, or you're listening to it with a certain perspective, or it makes you feel a certain way. Yeah, that's why I try not to get too precious with my music, because if it resonates with some people, that's fantastic. I'm excited that it spoke to them. And if it doesn't, then it's like, that's okay. It wasn't for them, you know? And
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you ever listened to somebody else's song? Like maybe you don't even know them, but you just hear a track and you're like, that seems forced.
Oh, definitely.
You know, like he's like, that seems like somebody was manufacturing something that they were trying to conform for a very specific reason. Maybe it's for streams or to be liked or try to mimic somebody else. It just didn't feel real.
I do. Yeah. I'm thinking of a particular one too.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot in electronic music.
Same, dude. I do too. It's interesting that like sometimes you can just pick that up without even knowing.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be a way to prove it scientifically, but like there's just some kind of unspoken thing that's like mystical about music, you know?
There is. I think that we can't quantify it. It's almost like we're picking up on something beneath the surface.
Yeah.
I find that my ability to I'm more sensitive to that the more I've strived for. I don't even want to say strived for, but the more I've allowed myself to be more authentic in my own music, the more I can hear it in others' music.
Yeah, it's like almost like you're tapping more into that like unspoken authenticity of feeling, like how the music is translating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel that too though. Like I feel the same way. I do.
Can't even put my finger on what it is. I would love to be able to quantify it.
Yeah.
But
it is interesting.
Yeah, I think there's stuff. I think reality, getting kind of philosophical here, I think reality in general it's very subjective. And what we see and what we measure does not actually reflect the true nature of reality. I think there are things that are happening under the surface that are immeasurable with tools and by trying to like rationalize them. I think so much of our perception is more like an interference pattern of some more fundamental energy at play than this is objective reality. And I think music and art can kind of let us breach that more non-physical, energetic dimension of reality.
I agree. I think there's a lot more going on around us that we don't see with our physical eyes. Mm-hmm. Can I necessarily prove that with science? No.
Right.
But I operate under the philosophy that your experiences will create your beliefs, and your beliefs create your behaviors, and it's a repetitive cycle that just keeps reinforcing itself. And
exactly.
And so if I experience something supernatural or outside this world, whether it's like at a show, I have some kind of experience or something, or with another person, then it's like I'm going to have a belief system based on that. There's a lot of things science can't prove. There's a lot of things science can prove, but I think there's more going on around us than we even realize. Maybe it's the aliens. I don't know.
Maybe they're part of it.
Maybe.
I heard that there is approximately, I think it was like 11 billion bits of information. This might be a very crude paraphrasing, so sorry.
That's fine. That's okay.
But there are 11 billion bits of information that is happening all around us at any given point in time, and our physical senses are only able to process 40 bits of information per second, which means we have an incredibly narrow bandwidth of perception compared to all of the information, all of the data that is possible to actually be picking up on. And really, if we think about it from an evolutionary standpoint, we've evolved to only see things that serve us or are threats to us. Anything in between is irrelevant. And so why would we evolve to, spend energy, spend mental processes, spend resources on perceiving things that aren't necessary for our survival and longevity and safety, which I think is why we have that narrow focused bandwidth. But that being said, so much of what we believe influences what is important to us, important to our survival in a sense, in that regard, and thus influences what we're able to perceive. When we're in a stressed state, or like a chronically stressed state, we are unable to, it's harder to get into the flow state because we're focused on our more primal needs being met, our safety being met.
That makes sense.
And so we start seeing things as more isolated. Your relationship with the external world is more like me versus everything else, me versus them. Your sense of being an individual, the ego, becomes more prominent and solid. And it makes it harder for us to be in a, more universal headspace where, things are happening. We're seeing synchronicities occur. I feel like so many times when everything seems to be like lining up in our lives and we're noticing these like really bizarre synchronicities or coincidences happening, often that's during a time, at least for me, where I'm more present, I'm more trusting of myself and the present, and I'm a bit more one with the universe. I feel like there's intuition. I can get ideas and pick up on senses. I can sense things that if I trust lead to favorable outcomes.
Yeah, that's real.
And I feel like creating music from that place of trusting yourself, trusting your first inclinations, the first ideas that come to mind, seeing where they go without judging them. That is a way to kind of catalyze that more expanded headspace.
Yeah. No, it has a lot to unpack there.
It is.
We could do a whole nother episode just on that, honestly. That's good stuff. No, but I think even just scientifically too, there's a lot to that. It's just like being in the right headspace, making music. I think there's way more to that than we give credit. I mean, just your prefrontal cortex in your brain, that handles a lot of your decision making, even in the DAW, and that's also where if you're anxious already or you're afraid or you're going through some serious life decision or issue, like that can hijack that part of your brain as well. And so it's going to make you make different decisions producing, and you're going to probably not have the same outcome producing in that moment if you're allowing anxiety to like creep in, because it's that part, you're using the same part of your brain. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's interesting, man. That's why it goes back to happy place. Like my best music's when I'm not thinking. I'm usually just feeling, my way through it. But obviously if you're new to Ableton, like you've got to learn some shit. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot harder just to feel your way through a DAW you don't know how to use. But
it's true. Yeah, you want to have some second nature habits with the tools that you use.
Yeah.
Like get comfortable, once you understand how something works and put it in practice a few times, then you don't have to spend so much mental energy on, okay, what does this thing do? How am I supposed to use this in this context? It's more so one fluid process.
Yeah.
And yeah, over time, you can just stay locked into just the feeling, just the intuition, and not even think about how to use the tools.
Speaking of tools, I noticed you had something in Ableton that you prepped that you wanted to share. It was a special rack that you made.
It is.
Do you sell a lot of racks on your site? Because I know you've got like your courses for sale and stuff.
So,
because I know you're a rack guy. I know in your tutorials and stuff, you make a lot of racks.
I love racks. Typically, they're either free download in my YouTube videos, or they're part of my masterclass courses.
Nice.
I don't like to really veer too far out of either of those realms. I don't want to kind of spread it too thin. But yeah, I have a sound design masterclass that I've been basically it's just been building upon and updating since 2017, called the School of Bass.
Nice.
It's more than just bass design, but
yeah,
most of it is like Ableton sound design and crazy techniques and stuff that I've learned. A lot of stuff that's on my YouTube channel. I go much more in depth in the School of Bass with those. But yes, every lesson that I have, I think there's like over 40 hours of content or something. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
But every lesson has downloadable racks and stuff that you can get.
Nice.
But yeah, here's one that I wanted to share.
Yeah, if anybody looking at the screen right now, you can see it.
So this is, I already played a bit of the drop from my song off of Emberwake called Better to Believe. It's this main respace sound that I made entirely with just stock Ableton devices. It's this right here. Oh, wait a minute. Let me turn off the spectral clipping.
Yeah, the thing's wild. I'll have to play with that.
So in the background, there's that dun, 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 dun. There's that kind of like rhythmic, fluid sound. And this is how it sounds isolated.
That's dirty.
Yeah. So I am using all stock devices.
Nice.
This is kind of what the whole overview of the rack looks like. But I kind of want to walk through how I built this and kind of what my reasoning is for using these, what each of these devices do, if that's cool.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So the first thing, I'm going to bypass a bunch of this stuff. Hopefully, okay, cool. That's all in one thing. I'm using Operator, and the rhythmic effect that I'm getting, okay, before I get to that, I'm using Operator, and it's basically just 3 oscillators. It is 2 sine waves that are detuned from each other, and that's what's creating that that wobbling effect. I have the fine tune of those assigned to a macro so that they can deviate in pitch. So I'll just play these. So here are just the 2 sine waves. It's basically inaudible because they're just sub sine waves.
It's gonna be hard to hear if you're on a phone or something.
So okay, real quick, I'm just gonna enable this amp and this EQ right after it. So there's some distortion so you can hear the harmonics.
Nice.
So there's this detuning knob, and what that's doing is changing the fine tune of oscillators A and B. Also, this operator is in parallel mode, so all of the oscillators, there's no FM going on.
Yeah.
And as I change this detune macro, you can hear it changes the rate faster and slower.
Nice.
And I'm actually manually automating this detune macro to essentially find those rhythms, as opposed to using like an LFO that's synced to the grid.
Yeah.
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 I find that it's just a better workflow. It just feels more fluid and flexible.
Yeah, I do the same thing now with like wobbles. I usually never put it in sync. Like if I'm wobbling something, I just kind of dial it in by ear, and it just has more of a natural feel to it.
Yeah, if the LFO re-triggers every time, like
Exactly.
on the note, then you have more control over it. I find.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there are these two oscillators here, and then I have a noise white that's being blended in just a little bit with that. So it gives it a little bit of fuzz.
Nice.
You can hear the fuzz coming through. And then, yes, I am using this fourth oscillator. And this is for the harmonic sound. And I just have this mixed in a little bit. This is also a sine wave. And then I have the coarse ratio tuning assigned to a macro too. So I can choose the harmonic. So the 10th harmonic creates like this major third sound. If I switch it to 12, it'll create a fifth.
Yeah.
You can have a lot of fun with playing with that. And then, so I have this EQ8. It's doing this big boost, and that's because I want the sub to really crunch even harder through this amp without the EQ.
Yeah. Completely changes the tone if you boost a sub through distortion like that. Yeah.
So I'm using this amp on heavy, and then I don't think this auto filter is actually doing anything much. Nah, I'm going to bypass that. And then I'm using an erosion on noise wide noise mode, and this is just adding a little bit more wide fuzz. Then I use a dynamic tube, and dynamic tube is really cool because it introduces it's like asymmetrical distortion. So right now, this is all odd harmonics because we're clipping sine waves symmetrically. It's basically creating square waves. Once I introduce the dynamic tube and increase the bias a little bit, then we start getting a more sawtooth-like sound. It introduces the even harmonics because of asymmetrical distortion. And I have that mapped to this asym macro. It gets quieter as I increase it, but you can hear it gives it more of a grit. And to me, I really love the sound of like saw harmonics.
Yeah. Dynamic tube is sick. I need to honestly be using more. I know Copycat uses that all the time. He kind of turned me back onto it.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And then I'm using these 3 EQ3s in a row. And they're not attenuating frequencies or boosting frequencies. I'm just using these because they introduce phase dispersion.
Kind of like disperser kind of thing going on.
Exactly, yeah. Because they have 48 decibel per octave crossovers, and that introduces quite a bit of phase shift.
Nice.
So it just gives it a little bit of dispersion, makes it sound thicker, and definitely changes the sound once I put it through this other amp. I have this amp set to blues mode, and this just kind of brightens everything up a bit more. I have it set to 50% dry wet.
Nice.
So you can hear without the EQ3s, you might be able to hear the difference. Kind of sounds dry and fuzzy.
Yeah, it brings up some of that like brightness a little bit. Yeah.
It's a little bit chunkier too in the mid range.
Yeah.
I have this EQ8 here, which is rolling off the top end because, like I said earlier, we really don't need that much above 12K.
Yeah.
And then I'm just kind of doing some contouring and a little bit of automation.
Nice.
A little bit of that high pass resonance sweep. And in the actual song, so whoa, it kind of brings that like that low mid whippiness to it.
Are you like manually drawing in the automation curves for that EQ8, or do you have it like set to like random LFOs or?
No, these are all deliberately manually being drawn in.
Got it.
Yeah, I think it's this thing right here.
So, how did you bend that curve so it's in and out on that automation curve?
Yeah, this thing right here. There is a spline curve preset. If you right click, there is these two down here.
Oh, it's like cut off on the screen.
Oh,
that's crazy.
Here, hold up.
What if you scroll down a little bit more?
So, let's see. Here they are.
Oh,
right here and here.
Good. I've never. Okay, yeah. I just skip over that.
If you click that,
that's cool.
Then it turns into a curve that can do this.
Are you holding down Command to do that?
I'm holding down Alt.
Alt,
so,
that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
typical curves, it's just exponential, logarithmic, but then
It's a little jump rope.
These
that's cool.
S curves, they're really fun.
Yeah, sick. Nice.
Yeah. Then this goes into comb filter, which I'm not really using, but just to demonstrate, I call it the static chorus. Basically, I use 2 legacy choruses, and then only one of them is being delayed, and it creates a sound like this.
Yeah, comb filter's sick. In the auto filter, the new auto filter in 12.
Yes.
The comb filter is very nice.
The new auto filter is awesome. I don't think that it can go all the way up to, I think the reason I didn't use it is because it can't go all the way up to, like, it will still cut off a little bit of the top end, even when it's maxed out.
Really? On the comb filter? Yeah, you're right. It does. If you go to 20,000 hertz, it literally is just cutting off.
Yep, there's a little bit that it cuts off.
Yeah.
Maybe in high quality mode? It still cuts off a tiny bit, but high quality mode definitely makes it better.
Sure. Yo, I want to give a big shout out to Baby Audio real quick with their new plugin called Techno, Tekno. It's a drum synth that basically takes all those classic drum machines to the next level with a more modern sound and design and an easy user interface. Techno packs 18 different drum engines, so you can go from vintage grooves to full-on futuristic percussion sounds. You can dive deep and shape every sound yourself, or if you're in a rush, just hit the preset randomizer, get some cool, fresh, new random ideas. They also built in these humanized features, so every hit feels a little bit different, less robotic and less programmy sounding, and has kind of an organic feel to it. Right now, it's on sale for 39% off, so you can grab it for $79 at Baby Audio, or just give it a free trial test run. And check out the link in the show notes to give it a run for yourself.
And then, here's something interesting. I use this multiband dynamics, and I'm using pretty extreme upwards expansion. And what this is doing is it's creating more dynamics. I have this mapped to this macro called focus, and it essentially will attenuate frequencies that are below a threshold, like an expander, but for multiband. And this makes the articulation in this sound more prominent. So the fuzz only comes through more momentarily. So here's with it off. Here's with it on. Obviously, it's reducing the volume a lot.
Yeah.
And then I have another multiband after that. And then, wait, this is so quiet.
I think it's you had something further back that was turned off. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not.
I think it's just how I had it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, you can turn up that output.
You can hear the difference between.
Yeah. So you basically just turned off the ratios. So like it's just 1 to 0.25.
Yep.
Then you're just
bringing
those bars up. Yeah.
Bringing these upward bands down so that everything below this threshold gets cut. So.
Yeah.
There's like a sweet spot. This is also really great for drums. It's kind of like a noise gate in a sense.
So are you a lot of times when you're doing this, and it might just be like dependent on the situation probably, but do you ever split your subs out in a rack and just have like a mid or a top versus and then preserve the sub? Or like in this example, you're just smashing the sub through everything pretty much.
In this example, I am. Yeah, I typically do I'll basically high pass, or I'll basically select all of the processing. If it's too crunchy, or there's like reverb or too many effects going on, I just want a pure sub.
Yeah.
I'll just select all of this, put it in a group, and then have a separate
chain.
Just a separate chain that's just a low pass, and then at that same frequency, put that low pass on the affected rack at the very end, and then switch it to high pass. So I'll demonstrate. So okay, here's the operator. I'm going to select this EQ8 all the way to the end, and then put it in a group. And then I'll take an EQ8 and then use this 4x low pass at maybe like 100 hertz, and then copy this onto the top band. But then at the very end, switch it from the low pass to a high pass. And now sub and the tops are separate.
Yeah,
so
makes sense. You typically choose the same crossover, like for each band, like for the sub versus the top?
Typically do, yeah. Sometimes I'll actually map those frequencies to a macro and then find a sweet spot, or sometimes even automate them. Sometimes it sounds good to have that control over that as well.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I talked to Flosstradamus about this. I'm curious your thoughts. He was saying that he just usually gets in the practice of turning off any EQ8 bands that aren't being used, because just even activating them can create some type of, I don't know if he was talking about any kind of phase shift or if it was just introducing any kind of CPU or something. But he said he gets in the practice of always turning off the bands he's not using typically.
It might be a CPU thing.
Okay.
I have done null tests with EQ8.
Really?
And if they're at 0 gain, they don't do anything. I mean, unless you're using like a cut filter.
Right.
Some of the stuff at the very top.
Because that's still filtering. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But no, it should null perfectly. From my experiment. I mean, we could try it out right now.
No, we don't have to, but yeah, that is something he talked about. It's just like, it might be a CPU thing that he was talking about then.
It probably is, yeah. I just like having them all on.
I can't
for
imagine
control.
it's using that much unless you have tons of EQ8s.
Exactly, yeah. You wouldn't think so.
Yeah. As far as like other stock Ableton, I mean, you showcased a lot of stuff in here, obviously. Multiband dynamics is like super killer. Erosion I use a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Amps pretty solid. Dynamic tube. Any other like go-to Ableton stock effects that you love, and maybe like how do you use those?
I mean,
you don't have to show it. You can just name drop a few.
Well, Operator for one, I think really for how old it is and unchanged it is still just incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
There is a cool trick that I really like doing in Operator, which I recently discovered over the past couple of years. It is using the LFO on high mode. So let me just use a saw wave. Let me filter out the tops just a little bit. Not super harsh, but simple sawtooth wave. And if you want to give this more character, more grit, without using like noise or something, let's say, for instance, I'll just say I use this method a lot to create like lead sounds and also like trance like kind of like super saw-esque sounds.
Okay.
Modulating with the sample and hold LFO on high mode can do some pretty wild things. So by default, it sounds like this. But if I start increasing the amount, and let's just have the rate at 100, but really that LFO frequency you can see in the bottom corner here is 2.64 kilohertz. That's a really fast modulation, and sample and hold is basically noise. And if I increase the amount here, this saw wave will start to get really unstable in a I think a very pleasing way. Kind of get this screechy effect.
Yeah.
And if you increase the spread to just 1%, it is barely going to do any detuning on the actual oscillator itself, but it is going to desynchronize the sample and hold LFO, so it will create really wide stereo width. So
that's cool. Oh yeah, that's wild.
Versus 0%.
That's crazy.
And I love doing this with like, some filter enveloping. And then I have...
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I haven't really played much with the sample and hold LFO.
And then if you add some reverb and delay, you can get sounds like...
Oh yeah, it's very trance synthy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
I love
Nice.
doing that with Operator.
Oh, for sure.
I also make a lot of drums with Operator as well, like snares and stuff.
Yeah, your video, the Andrew, if anybody hasn't watched it, the Andrew Huang, Four Producers, One Sample that you did a long time ago with
Yeah.
Ill Gates and a couple other people,
Mhm.
that was cracked. That was crazy because you took a door and you made an entire banger out of just the door sound with drums, synth, everything.
Dude, I was so pissed off when I got that email. I was really excited when he was like, "Hey, I want you to be part of my video
Yeah.
for Producers One Sample," because I've seen the other one that he did, and I was like, "This is so cool." You know, we'll take like a little cool musical loop and then just make something out of that. And I thought he was trolling us because he didn't even send us a WAV file. He sent us a freaking MP4 of a squeaky door.
Yeah, I saw
I'm
that.
like, wait, this is. You want us to? What am I going to do with this? So
I liked your track the most out of all of them. I really did. And you used everything from the squeaky door. It was absolutely insane. Like I showed that to my manager, Toma, which you met at your show. And he was just like, this guy is insane. I was like, I know, it's wild.
I had to full send it.
It was good.
Yeah, I basically took like really just small portions of the squeaky door sample. A lot of times I'm just putting it in a simpler with a really small loop to create a tone, and then kind of treating that as my oscillator, and then using stock effects to filter it into whatever. It's kind of like a really crude wavetable.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, with enough EQ, saturation, compression, and pitch enveloping, you can kind of just remake anything with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounded great. That was a really fun video to watch. Other devices, you shouted out Operator.
I love Operator.
Max for Life stuff. Do you have any favorite Max for Life things?
Yeah. There is, well, these are third-party Max for Live, but let's see if I have it here. It's called Freak Q.
I haven't heard of that.
I believe, yeah, this is it. Let's see if it's loaded.
Freak Q.
Yeah, it's by, who's this by? Chaos Culture. This is a really cool spectral, plugin. So I'm just going to use Wavetable as to demonstrate. Let's just get a little supersaw going.
Looks crazy.
Oh, just wait. It's wild.
You take your time. I can edit this too.
Cool. Here's just a supersaw bass with a lot of full spectrum. And so basically, I haven't used this in a minute, but I was using this quite a bit a while ago. It's like a spectral filter, and you can create shapes like this. And I'll show you. So here's this just kind of like a random shape. And if I start to increase the amount, and then you can do things like adjust the scale.
Sounds like it's just wave shaping.
Oh, wait. So you can do these crazy comb filter-like effects that you really only would be able to get, only be able to achieve in like an additive synth.
Oh.
Let me put a little multi-band.
That's crazy.
At the end.
Like alien stuff going on.
And then you can use a LFO modulator to modulate this offset here, and you can see it moving. I'm going to set this to just an up ramp.
Whoa.
So.
Whoa. That's crazy. Dang. You've turned maybe like 4 or 5 knobs and it just immediately just created this completely different sound.
And there are different
So what are each of those modules? I see you have 4 of them.
Yeah, so these are just filters that can just additively add to this overall the spectrum at the top.
Yeah.
So for instance, this first filter, I'm creating these peaks here, and by using the amount and the scale and then modulating the offset, I'm able to create this kind of barber pole comb filter effect.
Wow. That's so cool.
And now I can add another one and do the same thing with, let's say, a different LFO. Let me copy this over. And let's do a down ramp at a slightly slower rate, and then map this to the offset of this one. It'll let me do that. Here we go. And so now we have opposing filter shapes.
Yeah. Yeah, I find that, like, you know, taking multiple filters that have crossovers can create some really unique overlapping sounds for sure.
Yeah. In this case, this is an FFT-based effect, so it does introduce some latency. This introduces 84 milliseconds because it has a 4032 or 40. It has a latency of 4032 samples. This isn't free. I think it's pretty cheap though. I think I only got it for like $15.
That's cool.
In my opinion, definitely worth it if you're, trying to nerd out on sound design.
Yeah. That's really sweet. I'll have to play with that.
It can also do, so right now it's in linear distribution. It can also do logarithmic distribution, which has a totally different sound. It can also do a hybrid between linear and logarithmic.
That's cool.
This thing's dangerous because I'll waste.
That's super fun.
I'll waste all my time on the podcast with this.
No, that's so cool.
I love that thing. There's another one called Chordamist. It's a really powerful plugin that lets you create chords. It's basically a way to you have 127 or I guess 128 different cells, and you can create really complex like jazzy chords and chord progressions with this. I'm going to see if I already have something loaded.
Sidetrack, have you ever played with expressive chords? The new Ableton, well, it's technically, I think, a pack, but you download it.
I have
It's
not.
a Maxwell device. Yeah, it's basically just like a happy accident generator from like different chords. It's got a bunch of different bars that you can click on right here. And my laptop's not plugged in, but you can hear.
Oh, dude, this.
And it basically generates random chords, and then you can like invert it, the chord structures, and it's got like a strum feature based off of the notes you play. But yeah, this thing's really cool too. If you want to get some happy accident chords, this is new in 12. So
It seems very similar to this, except like a much simplified version.
yeah, and you can go in and like get more specific in this window too. The modulation, articulation. This shows you the different notes that you're playing. So it's a good way to also learn chords too, if you want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something that I really like about this. It kind of brings up, kind of like reawakens the jazz theory part of me.
Yeah.
So let me play some of these. And it's really here. Let me turn off the phaser. So yeah, you can choose the key, like the note, the type of chord. So let's do like minor seventh, and then you can do things like change the direction. There's all these just different ways to articulate it. You can change the rate of how it kind of like glissandos.
Whoa.
Velocity, skip, inversions, stack. You can also do an ARP mode.
Wow. That's wild. That's
Cool stuff
insane.
like that.
Yeah. I also like that patch. It's really pretty.
Thanks. Yeah, it's this thing is just super inspiring to use. I've used it in my song Heat with Sayuri that I released earlier this year.
Chordamist. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Are you, so unrelated, are you still using DuckBuddy for sidechaining? I did hear you talk about that in a podcast. And
I don't use that anymore. No.
Find a better, faster solution.
I do. Yeah. My method to sidechaining is, it might be a bit crude, but I find this works really well. So I love using MIDI for drums. I'll use a drum rack, and then I have basically, yeah, I'll just demonstrate it real quick. So let me here's a simple kick drum. And what I'll do is I'll take, I typically have this as part of my auto load. I will paste the kick drum on the cell right below C0. So I guess B0. And then I'll just make it really short. And this is just like a ghost click.
Yeah.
I'll mute that, but now it shows up in my drum rack, and I typically call this SC. So now this is going to be my sidechain trigger. It doesn't make a sound on its own, but I can just easily see if it's lining up with like a kick drum or a snare that I want to use to sidechain.
Yeah.
And I have a return track here, which I will have all of my groups go to. So for instance, if this is all of my instruments, I will have the output set to sends only, and then bring up the send level, the return track level, all the way. So now, because it's on sends only, it's not going to duplicate the sound. Everything that I have set going into this is going to be going through two devices, and they're stock devices: sidechain sub compressor, and then a sidechain gate. And so I have these separate because I find that this is kind of like the best of both worlds. The SC sub comp, the source is just the audio from typically the drum rack. And I have a low band crossover. This is a multi-band compressor. And I'm using the drum rack, in this case, just the low end, everything below 150 hertz. And I'm basically limiting that. So as you can see, it's reducing, minus 18 dB. And that's nice because that ensures that I am not, that there's no sub interference, but it doesn't affect the pumping of all of the top end frequencies. That's where I use this. I'm using a gate, the sidechain gate. I will set the sidechain input as the trigger track, sidechain trigger cell in my drum rack. And this is what gets triggered from this ghost click.
Yeah.
And I find that the gate is really useful because we have hold and release controls. And I just find that also, in conjunction with the look ahead, because you can have it duck a little bit before the note hits, and that really helps prevent DC offset or whatever. It just makes it really clean.
Yeah.
This is what I've been using for, I think, the past 2 or 3 years now. Yeah, about 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely
Super
makes
clean.
sense too. And also, if you want that subcomp to only have it mostly just affecting below 150 hertz too.
Exactly.
So then the top is still breathing.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll have the sub comp doing, like, if I have the sidechain input of the sub comp on a drum group that has like toms and other percussion that has low end in it, it will mask out like the sub of the basses dynamically without sidechain compressing all the frequencies. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That is something
really
that I would like for, maybe it's in here, but have you heard of GM Audio Ducker? Have you played with this?
Oh,
This is
it's been a while.
my favorite. And I've played a lot with a lot of different side chaining options and talked to everybody on the podcast, it seems like, about this.
Huh.
And this seems to be the fastest, easiest solution for me.
Really?
But it's not multi-band, right?
I see.
So it would be nice if I could multi-band it, which I could,
Yeah,
if
make
I
a
built a
rack.
chain. Yeah, if I made a rack, I could multi-band it, which would work.
Mm-hmm.
But this thing seems to be like the lowest latency that I've found. I think it's very comparable to Kickstart too.
Nice.
I did like kind of a shootout between the two of them, and I still think I like this better. I think because it is like Max for Live, it seems like it is slightly lower latency.
Right.
But But yeah, I like it. I think it works great.
And so, can you draw a curve, or does it have a built-in preset curve? Or?
Yeah, so like if I just had like a drum rack or something, kind of like what you did, just duplicate this. It's probably not going to sound great. That's okay. Yeah, and then you've got the drum rack. Let's just assign that to that kick. Let's go into the drum rack.
Oh.
But it does work pretty well if I have like a kick. Let's just get a kick going in here. So now you can see here it's ducking.
I see.
But you can turn up the release too, and then you've got the hold. So you can carve it out, dial it in pretty well.
So it's like transient detecting
the
audio, and then applying a curve.
Exactly. So it's just looking for that first initial transient, and I find it's pretty sample accurate. I feel like it does a pretty good job. And then you could amount it to here. If you don't want it to fully cut out 100% volume, you can change the amount.
I love that.
So I think it does a pretty good job. It also bounces to the beat, but yeah, I think it's the best solution I've found. You can zoom out or zoom in too.
Oh wow, that's so convenient because you'd really see what it's doing then.
You can freeze it and get really in there.
Nice.
So yeah, I like this thing. I think it's worth like the $15 or whatever. Enzo also says he uses it, and we talked about that too. A lot of people really love this thing.
Nice. It's reliable.
There is no perfect. I mean, like whatever works, I guess. But I love that thing. So
yeah, I really like having a curve control like that.
Yeah. Okay, real quick. Since you've done a lot of Serum stuff, I'm sure somebody wants to hear something from you on Serum. Like, what are your like maybe quick tips or tricks using Serum?
A really cool thing that I discovered, which it's not really a quick tip, but
it's okay.
There is something really special in the new convolve effect that is minimum phase mode, and I discovered a really cool way to reprocess drums by throwing a drum sample into the convolver.
Oh, nice.
Driving it with a pure one sample impulse, and then using the minimum phase mode to basically reset all the phases of the drum.
Can you show that really fast?
Yeah, I can. I also think just Serum in general is a really great drum sampler and like reshaper, because you can throw stuff into, Serum 1, throw it into the noise oscillator, but Serum 2 now, we have sampler oscillators.
Yeah,
and then using LFOs to shape the level and also shape the EQ and stuff it's just really great for that sort of thing. So okay, it should be in here. Okay, so I'm just gonna rebuild it real quick. Yeah. Basically, you have a one sample impulse in one of the oscillators. You disable pitch tracking, and then so I'll just demonstrate it very simply. Load a convolve, set it to 100% mix. I'm just gonna get a snare sample going.
Nice fat snare.
Thanks, I made it last night. So now that I put this in the convolve, I'm driving a one sample impulse into this sound in the convolver. So if I play the note, we get the exact same identical sound. And you can change the pitch by changing the size. Cool. Now there's this minimum phase mode. If you click that, it'll probably make it a little bit quieter. I'm going to turn the attack up very slightly. But I'm also going to add a distortion on soft saturation after it. Now listen, like that completely changed the sound of the snare. Now what you can do is use a diffuser filter, which is actually a disperser filter, and increase the stages and basically create a brand new phase response.
That's a nice little laser.
And this works excellent for kick drums, especially like old school kicks that are like either like rumbly or just have weird phasiness going on.
Yeah.
So like Let's use like a Vengeance beatbox kick or something. Actually,
I'm usually pretty lazy. I just like find a good kick sample that I think slaps, and I don't really spend time making my own, but it's fun.
yeah, I wanna show like really what the advantage of this is. I'm gonna find like a really sweepy kick. I guess here's one. Here's a good one. So I'm gonna put this kick into the convolver, and then by default it sounds like this. Bypass all this stuff. That's the kick. Let's say I want it to sound thuddier or sound like have more of a pitch envelope. What I can do is set this to minimum phase mode. By default,
Oh yeah,
it's really thuddy.
gives it like an old school kind of like, I don't know, like a fat vintage kick kind of sound from like a drum machine.
Exactly. It eliminates the pitch curve essentially because it's I don't entirely know how it works. It's preserving the identical frequency response, but resetting the phase response. So then you can use the diffuser filter to
Nice.
reintroduce
That's cool.
a different pitch envelope,
That's sick.
essentially. But it's the same exact frequency response
That's
as the
awesome.
original. Yeah. So that's a cool trick.
That is fun. Yeah, this is fun. You can definitely reshape sounds, like especially transient stuff.
Or things that are like flammy.
Yeah.
You can make it like really snappy
Yeah.
without altering the tone of the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I also love that you can go into. There's so many things in the actual oscillators and the wavetables themselves now, which is so sick. I mean, you've got the saturation inside the warp option now,
Oh yeah.
and then that's really fun. There's some good stuff in there to actually just add distortion in the actual wavetable.
The granular engine is super powerful.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
and also changing the was it the semitones to
Yeah, to ratios. Where is it?
yes.
Mode, harmonics, or ratio.
Harmonics. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can change the mode to harmonics. That's really fun too.
We're just like throwing an LFO on that and just getting.
Oh. Oh yeah. I know you make a lot of really cool colored bass stuff, and
Mhm.
that kind of is like right up some of my alley too. I've been really loving that.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun, man. Yeah, Serum's great. I look forward to that Serum 2 class that you're doing. That's a thing?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea of when that might drop?
It's most likely going to be next year.
Okay.
Or maybe right before the end. Probably next year. Yeah, because holidays and stuff.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot in there. So
Yeah.
that's sick. Yeah, I look forward to that. Ableton Live specific features that you wish Ableton had that it doesn't.
Okay. Yeah. Something that I really miss about Logic is vary speed, which is the ability to play back at basically different. I don't even know how to describe it. It's not just different tempos, but like different pitches as well. It's like using the resampling function in the audio clip and then turning the tempo down. It slows down the pitch and the tempo simultaneously, or speeds it up. But the advantage to that is in Logic, if you have vary speed, for instance, you can go like, I don't know, like -5 semitones, but record like a voice, like your normal voice at that slower speed. And then when you pitch it back up, the voice is in time pitched up.
Yeah.
And to me, there is a lot of really cool just stuff you can do compositionally with that. I also like to just hear my songs slowed down or at different rates anyway.
Yeah.
For me in Logic, that was a really it was a great ear refresher. I miss vary speed a lot. Another thing is
You use that with your vocals as well, like for say you have the pitch that you wanted to like raise or lower. So then you, like for example, I know that Cherub, they were on the podcast and he talked about how like he'll bounce the track and then they'll like sing it in a different pitch and then bring it back in.
Yeah,
It's like
it would be like that,
yeah,
but without having to do any rendering,
yeah,
essentially.
yeah.
I've never done that myself, but I really want to. And I know if that feature was there, I would absolutely be utilizing
Yeah,
it.
that would be cool. I didn't know Logic did that.
I've
That's
seen
sick.
I've seen Jacob Collier use it, and that was when I saw that I was like, I need that back so badly.
I wonder if there's a Max for Live device out there.
There's something very similar that does that. I haven't tried it out though. I'd be curious to see if it functions that way.
You know what it's called?
I think it might be called VariSpeed.
So that would make sense. Yeah.
Another thing that I wish Ableton had was clap plugin support, because that is, I think, kind of the future of like VST replacement, because it can do polyphonic automation. I don't know if you're how familiar you are with that.
I'm not familiar now.
Yeah, Bitwig does that. It has clap support. I'm definitely not trying to shill Bitwig by any means.
That's okay. Honestly, dude, I've heard amazing things about Bitwig, and a lot of people on the podcast have liked it. So
I want to like it. I just can't. Workflow-wise, I just can't switch over. But clap support, yeah. I don't know much of the details of, other advantages around it, but it seems like that's a plugin format of the future. Also, having some kind of plugin manager where you can like disable individual plugins, or like have the plugins, like, I guess, I don't know what the term is, side loaded. If a plugin crashes, the whole DAW doesn't crash.
yeah, that is a big one. A lot of people have talked about for sure.
So many of my old projects crash because...
Yeah, why not just crash the device instead of the whole project? It makes so much more sense.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
And then I'd say the last thing that I really want to see is a Melodyne-style audio clip pitch correction. Like being able to open up an audio clip and have, like, and if it's a vocal, be able to see the pitch curve and then be able to, do like pitch quantize or manipulate pitch that way, as opposed to just using the transpose envelope. It doesn't cut it for me. I've seen it in Reason. I think Logic has it now too. And to me, if Melodyne was something like Melodyne was just baked into the audio editor,
yeah, that would be super nice.
Changer.
That would be a game changer. Yeah, even just ARA plugin support would be nice.
Yeah,
could help.
Yeah,
with that.
That's what it's called. Yeah.
That would be huge. Have you played with what was that Spectral AI? It's basically like a Spectral Melodyne. The plugin. Ahi was on here and told me about it. We looked at it together. He did a tutorial on it.
Is it RipX?
RipX, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
You haven't played with it?
No.
I haven't either, but I've had several people say how crazy it is.
Yeah, it looks insane. Just how granular you can really separate sounds from.
Yeah, it's
a
like
song.
a Melodyne DAW. This thing's pretty wild. Yeah, we've talked about it on the podcast too. Yeah, there he is. but yeah, this apparently it's pretty good if you just want to like stem split out certain sounds by frequency and tune them and change the notes of them.
Dude, it's wild. It's like you take just a stereo track,
Yep,
and then deconstruct it into its parts, and then recompose it.
exactly. It's insane. So, yeah, that would be cool. I think there's definitely more AI stuff coming in Ableton that's gonna hopefully help with some of that. At least just speed up workflow.
Mm-hmm. Those are the main ones that are off the top of my head. I could probably fill up a book of them.
Got this entire thing full of wish list ideas. I have so many of them. We're not going to go through all these, but I've got all these are like my top priorities. Bounce multiple video files at once would be so nice. Because you can bounce, you can do multiple audio, like selected tracks only or whatever, when you export, but you can't for video. It only does one video at a time, which takes forever.
Yeah, dude.
Especially for podcasting, for me.
Oh my God, true.
If I was going to bounce all three of these cameras, it takes me one camera if I'm going to bounce it in Ableton, which I don't really do that anymore, but I used to. Dude, it would take me like a good 35, 40 minutes just for one camera. Then you have to do that 3 times.
I really wish Ableton had better, like more support with working with video, because I use Premiere and God, if it only had Ableton's workflow. God, if it only had a grid that can be BPMs, like it would just be everything that I want.
100%. Same. Yeah, Premiere has like some really cool like new AI extensions though they've been rolling out.
Yeah, I haven't messed with them though.
Yeah, there's one called Autopod that does automatic cam switching.
Oh,
So
that's nice.
so you could just say, I want this audio track for this camera, I want this audio track for this camera. And if you're doing like a live music video or something or a live recording, you could just say like when I'm playing guitar over here, I want this camera. When I'm playing drums over here, I want this camera, and it auto switches and stuff.
Really nice.
Or for the podcast too, for like mics and stuff.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, Autopod is cool. That's a Premiere thing. Actually, I think it's an extension for multiple video platforms as well.
Check that out.
There's a lot of them in here. Also, like a true dynamic EQ would be nice.
I know,
You know,
yes.
like,
That is an essential one.
For sure. And I don't know because I'm not a programmer, but like I feel like if you just added that into the EQ8, you already kind of have that with the envelope follower.
Yeah.
And you can make one with it pretty easy with an EQ8.
Yeah.
Why don't you just marry them already into one? Like that would be nice.
It really would be.
Like it wouldn't be that hard to do.
No.
So
No, it's all the tech is already there behind under the hood.
yeah, exactly. Dynamic EQ is another big one for me. But yeah, man, I could keep going in here. There's a lot. Also, like, okay, here's another big one because you probably freeze and flatten, I imagine, to audio a decent amount, maybe.
I do, yeah.
Or now it's bounced to new track, which is actually super nice.
I do love that. That was something I missed in Logic for the longest time.
That's huge. Yeah, you just highlight the grid, Command B, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
It's so nice. But everything always goes to beats mode. When you bounce to a new audio track or freeze flatten, always warp mode is going to be beats.
What's up? Yeah, what's up with that? Because I have my default set to complex.
Yeah, but it still goes to beats, right?
Let's see.
Unless there's something I'm missing.
Yeah, it goes to beats.
Yeah.
I don't want to use that.
I want to be able to change it to go to the default warp mode that I want.
Yeah.
Like I want it to just be off, honestly.
Yeah.
Unless I'm going to change tempo, then I would just rather default to be complex or complex pro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that.
Same.
That would be nice. That's another big one for me. Yeah. Anyway, we could keep going, but I want to respect your time, dude. I feel like I could just sit here and nerd out all day with you.
We could.
Freaking, I love your music. Like, you're a legend in the Ableton community, and I'm super stoked to have you on the podcast. Do you have any upcoming shows or anything you're going to be playing out in the next coming months?
I do, yeah. On October 17th, which I don't know if this will be out after or before then, I'm playing a show in Philadelphia. And a week after that, I am going to be in China playing VAC Fest.
Nice.
And this is going to be my third time in China. It's crazy, man. I'm like way more famous there than I am here.
That's what you were saying. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Hopefully you don't get attacked by a mob, Justin Bieber style.
I was just gonna.
You should tell that story. I feel like it's really fun. It's
Yeah, I was gonna say. Last time I was there, I got off stage, and I realized that I have to go to. I have to get to this taxi to drive 5 hours to play another show in some other city, and so I'm tight on time. And this festival ground is huge, and so. I say hi to some fans, and I'm like, oh, crap, I got to go. And so I'm jogging through the festival ground to the next, to where I get picked up. And these fans are following me. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm getting mobbed. And
not just like a couple fans, like,
no.
Like a lot of people.
And it kept growing, too. Because people would see me, and they'd get up and join the crowd. And there was a point where I could feel that my backpack was unzipping just because I was running, and I was like, "Shit! I need to sit down and zip this up and then get going." And as soon as I sit down and zip my backpack up, I get cocooned by these people, and like I'm getting grabbed at. I have like front cameras on people, like phones in my face, and it got to the point where I was like, "This went from." Flattering to terrifying. And
a real mob.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, instinct is kicking in. I kind of have to just push these people off me. I'm sorry, guys, but like this is too much. And there is a photo on my Instagram. Someone captured this, and they also people uploaded videos too. And
now you know how Justin Bieber feels sometimes getting attacked. Paparazzi mob.
And you could see me running like in the distance, and this crowd behind me, and then other people like realizing what's going on and like standing up and also joining the crowd. It's ridiculous, man.
That's hilarious. Hey, they love you though. That's got to be slightly flattering too, though. You know, you're getting mobbed like that, but also kind of scary, I'm sure.
It is, man. It felt like that last time once I got home. The last time I went home from that festival. Also, this is the picture.
Let's see that.
That's me in the hat holding the elephant.
That's amazing, dude. You look like happy, but also like you're just really anxious, trying to get out of there as soon as possible.
Oh, it was fight or flight for like an hour.
That girl's like grabbing your wrist like she's taking you somewhere.
Well, so she was actually the liaison assigned to get me to where I needed to be.
She looks nervous.
Mm-hmm.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but she helped out.
That's
a lot.
Decent mob. It's a crowd. You look like you're like getting shoved down to the ground. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's wild.
Wow. Well,
looking forward to that again.
Well, at least the people love you. Could be worse. So,
absolutely.
That's good, man. Any upcoming projects you want to shout out?
I have another EP that I'm gonna drop probably in November or December. I know I just released
literally
one.
Just dropped an EP. That's
crazy. I have one that's almost done. It's gonna sound very different. Much more I guess like sound design focused, spacey, really trippy stuff vibe.
Nice.
But let's see. Besides that, that's. Oh, I am working with. I'm working with Nasco on a next level dynamics plugin that I haven't really seen been done before.
Nice.
I'm not going to give too much away about it, but
okay,
it's really cool. I made a mock-up rack of it, and he's really good with the DSP he's using plug data and stuff, and is just really fast and really good with like putting ideas to life and turning them into plugins.
Cool.
And we've been nerding out about that, and it's been really cool.
Nice.
So I'm excited about what that's going to be.
Dynamic EQ plugin, or just the dynamics processor type of thing.
It's a dynamics processor that's different than it's kind of a hybrid. I don't want to give too much away.
That's okay.
It's a hybrid between two things that haven't been done before.
Yeah, cool, man. I look forward to seeing that. But sweet. Yeah, everybody, as always, check out the links in the show notes. Definitely give this guy a follow if you haven't. Austin, dude, good hanging with you, man. I really love your music. And check out his tutorials if you guys haven't seen it. Maybe the masterclass and other things. But yeah, maybe we'll have you back on another time sometime.
Really appreciate it, Dan. This has been a freaking blast.
Awesome, dude. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Peace.
Bye.
Bye. Hey, this is Dan Giffen. I make music as Philia. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you don't hate me or the podcast, please leave a 5-star review or hit that follow or subscribe button. Make sure you give this guest a follow. Give them some love for spending their time on this episode. If you want to be the first to get new episodes, check back on Tuesdays and also join the newsletter. I'll send you some extra cool stuff, exclusive events, some free downloads and other things. Just go to abletonpodcast.com/newsletter. You can get all your info there. Much love for listening, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.